yo, yo! Merry Christmas, my
Hold on.
brothers, my
Hold on.
brethren. Oh, hello.
For the Bollocks podcast listeners, I'm wearing a Santa hat, just so you know,
Yes,
so
he is
you
wearing a
can wish
Santa
that you
hat.
were watching the video.
This is really weird because you have the beard, you have the hair, you have the Santa hat. Um,
But
yeah,
I have absolutely no pull in the North Pole. I can't get you anything. So you can ask me for whatever you want. The guy won't talk to me. So
okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, well, it doesn't matter because this year I've been naughty. So,
haven't we all?
so I'm not getting shit from Santa. Lump of coal, maybe. Anywho, welcome back, everyone. Sorry, we're just like having a chat here. So I forgot about you lot out there. Welcome to I don't know, we call it festive bollocks, Christmas bollocks, or we just calling it episode whatever number it is.
Well, it's gonna end up being the only way that this is actually Christmas related is probably because of my lighting scheme and my hat.
That's true. That is true.
I mean, maybe we can have some Christmas talk too, but I mean, I don't celebrate Christmas in the traditional sense because I'm not a Christian and it's not about Jesus and stuff. It's just,
Yeah.
Christmas is essentially putting up a tree and buying things for my daughter. That's
It's the phrase "Happy Holidays" is a favorite of mine.
yeah.
Also one of my favorites going way back. I think series 2 or 3 of South Park. They did a Christmas special where
with
they wanted
Hanky
to.
the Christmas poo.
Yeah, probably. I've never found it particularly funny, but what they did do was they drilled down into trying to discover the very essence and meaning of Christmas, and they did. It's presents.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, and the kids are like, so this is what it's all about. Yeah, it's about presents. It's about giving a present to somebody. And it was like, well, yeah, pretty much. It's it's the festival of retail, isn't it? You've got Hershey's Festival of Chocolate, in in around April time, and now you've got the winter retail festival.
I mean, over here, I
right.
don't know if you have it over there, but over here, there's a thing called the War on Christmas, and it's all conservative Christians who all claim that
Yeah.
they're not allowed to say Merry Christmas, and that everyone
Yeah.
else is trying to take all the
Yeah.
meaning of Christmas away. And we're like, we're doing the same shit we've been doing for years, and
Well,
nobody has said you
yeah.
can't say Merry Christmas.
For Fox News, see the Daily Mail over here. So basically, it'll
Yeah.
be the usual. A town council in Lowestoft has been told they can't call it Christmas. It must be called a winter festival. What is wrong with this country? It's disgraceful. And then 2 days later, they print an apology the size of a stamp on page 80 that says, yeah, that was all complete bullshit, as it turns out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was total rubbish.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, it's absolutely, it's right up there with fucking African wasps, right? Those fuckers they're taking like 10 years to get over here because they first advertised as arriving and killing us all about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The motherfuckers have never shown up.
No, I haven't seen them.
Yeah, that I do like it when people get out of their prams about it. They're like, oh, I can't say. Well, you just did. Yes, but what I'm saying, what are you saying? Because it's not actually a thing. It's not true. It's not real. It's utter bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the problem over here, I think, is that people don't realize that using a term like Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas is just trying to include everybody, which is apparently what our country is supposed to be founded on over here, like bringing in the immigrants and including everybody. But as years have gone on, it's become no. This is white people country and Christian country, and that is it. But
yes.
But that's not really the country that I live in. It's just the minority of very loud people who like to complain about that shit. Let's not dwell on that. Let's make this
I think we've already dwelled, mate. I think
let's
it's
make
too
this
late. I think the dwelling has taken place.
I was saying, let's make this a fun episode. Let's do a recap of all the great things that happened this year and review some shit.
There's only one thing to talk about, really. The greatest thing that happened this year,
which was
obviously fucking Pantera have come back, isn't it?
I'm it's funny you should mention that because I'm gonna see them do this reunion thing.
Of course, because you are a Metallica baby, yeah.
So I bought Metallica tickets for August over here, and honestly, that was an interesting thing because the whole idea of buying concert tickets for big shows over here now is a nightmare because you're always afraid that you're going to get there and they're $500, $1,000 a ticket.
Yeah.
But I went on because they have the pre-sale for the Metallica Club, and I went and decided to try to get the best of the cheapest tickets because I'm like, I don't care. I don't care if I'm close up. I just want to be there. It's 2 shows, 2 different set lists. And I went on there and I got tickets for $100 each. That is $50 a show. And I'm just like, that's pretty fucking great. Now I'm not close, but it's a fucking football stadium they're playing at. So it's like, it's whatever. It's probably, the sound's probably going to be shit anyway. But yeah, I'm just like,
yeah, well, look, tying this back in to Pantera, I do want to deal with, because I did some a little bit of backwards and forwards on Twitter with the lovely Merciful Kate, who's a much respected metal journalist and writer, and she was saying, like, Metallica taking out all these fucking, it's nice that they're giving young up and coming bands a start like Pantera, and I'll be completely honest, the reason Pantera are supporting, sell tickets. That's why.
Sell tickets to Metallica?
Tickets. Yeah.
No.
Absolutely, yeah.
They sell out over here no matter when they play.
In this economy, you cannot take the chance. You just can't.
Could be.
You just can't.
That's the only night I'm going to go early because it's that Mammoth, what do you call it? Van Halen's Sons band, who are pretty good. Then Pantera, and then Metallica, and the next night, I think it's fucking Five Finger Death Punch, and I'm just like, oh fuck no. But again, Five Finger Death Punch, massive band, kids followers, it's crossing the ages. It's look, a tour is business. Sure. Absolute business. They have sweated over the support bands for these tours for hours for trying to get the right people, because there cannot be any mistakes. If you've got a tour that's not selling, it's not going to start selling. You're fucked. Yeah. So, even Metallica are putting somebody like Pantera on the bill just to make fucking sure. Which is make sure. It's interesting because otherwise I wouldn't have seen this Pantera reunion. I had no desire to see it. Yeah. And so now I'm just like, well, now I get to check it out and tell everybody what I think. Although everyone's got opinions now that there's video footage up.
Well, it's funny because I saw Charlie Benante saying, like, people slagging off the Pantera reunion, saying it's that's so disrespectful to Dime and Vinny. And I thought, to be fair, it's a very short walk to what you're doing is disrespectful to Diamond Vinny. Yeah. It's, it is a very short walk. But do you know what? I think the way I'm looking at it, and also the Abbott family estate said that there couldn't and shouldn't be a Pantera reunion without the Abbott brothers.
But then they approved it.
Well, duh. The estate must have signed off on it. And here's something else. Here's something else. They're going to sit there and collect the checks.
Yes, that's exactly that. This whole thing. I mean, it's like what you're saying about, just making as much money as you can, because if this group of 4 musicians, and I'm not going to talk any shit because I'm actually a Pantera fan and I love Charlie Benante. He's an amazing drummer. But if those 4 guys had gotten together and had gone on tour under a different name that was like a tribute to Pantera, less people would give a shit. But the fact that they're using that name, it's bringing people in. Yeah. So at that point, I just went, look, I don't know any of them personally, but whatever. I hope they're successful because
Yeah,
they're definitely not disrespecting the music. They're
fuck no.
just but to be completely honest, the footage that I've seen, I haven't been very excited about it just because of the fact that I hate it when bands have to start playing their songs so many octaves lower that it sounds like a completely different song. And that's what's been happening. In order for Phil to be able to sing the songs, they're played at I heard the beginning of Cowboys from Hell, and I'm like, what fucking song is this? And then finally figured it out. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ. It's like, I can fucking sing this now.
Well, to be fair, the videos I've seen, Phil sounds great, but the reason is because they've dropped them down.
Yeah.
And man, I mean, I I think I cover more distance going to go and get a newspaper in the morning and coming back to my house. I think I cover more distance than Phil has in all of these gigs put together.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks like he's got half a basketball stuffed up his t-shirt, and he is just it's like lifting your mic up and going like, it's like,
yeah,
that's it, is it? That's what you got? That's being a front man, is it? You're gonna fucking school us youngsters as to how to be a top front man, or are you gonna walk around like an ancient fucking middle-aged spread wreck?
To be fair, though, once it hit about 1995 with that band, you watch footage of that band, and he already is not a very good vocalist and starts like sitting down during parts of songs. I'm just like, meanwhile, the rest of the band fucking killing it. But he is just sort of wandering around, occasionally does like a little jump in the air. But I'm just like, he hasn't been very good since the mid-90s. And so
I've got to be honest. I saw Pantera once on the Far Beyond Driven tour, and I was left a bit cold. Now, yes, I had high expectations, but I'm used to having high expectations and seeing a band and being blown away. I had high expectations. The mix was awful. Basically, the mix was Phil, Dime's guitar, and Vinny's bass drums. See, and it sounded like Vinny's bass drums off the fucking album. They were so clicky. So you just had this like horrendous. I mean, there's like no room in the sound for like, Rex could have fucking stayed in the States. He could have had a holiday. Because there was no room in the sound. The frequencies were just not there. They were there. The sound was built for the Abbott brothers and for Phil to be heard over the top, and that's it.
Yeah.
And to the extent that it was one of those where you're just like, this is once you get over the thrill of them coming on and start playing everything, and after it's like you just find yourself it got old very quickly.
Yeah.
It got old very, very quickly.
I never got to see them, so I don't really know. But I mean, but like just seeing footage online, it just the earliest stuff is the stuff where they're an exciting band. Well, the earliest stuff with Phil, anyway. Not I don't before that I don't really know. I like their glammy stuff, but I don't think I've seen live footage of that. But
I mean, I'm aware of his existence, but I'm not actually going to go and listen to any. Never have. Never will.
A good segue though. I have to ask your opinion. New Metallica song. What are your thoughts?
Okay.
You're not going to hurt my feelings.
I know. Although I would imagine Dave Mustaine is feeling a bit hurt right now, hearing one of his old discarded riffs that wasn't good enough for a Megadeth song being used to prop up this slab of shit. Very disappointing. The greatest thing about it is the video, because in the video, James Hetfield's wearing the coolest leather jacket I've seen in a very long time. The coolest thing in the video is a leather jacket, not James wearing it, not any of the band. The coolest thing in the video is a leather jacket.
Do we need to search that out and get you one? Is that what we were trying to say? If anyone in the watching knows where to get that jacket.
Yeah, he's worn that. It's going to be. It's probably like a $10,000 leather jacket.
Probably.
I'm put it this way. I deliberately haven't looked into it because I know it would just be crushing.
Yeah.
So anyway, when you haven't got a chorus, just say the title of the song. That's basically a standard. Like when you first fucking learn how to write a song or play a guitar, just say the title as the chorus. That'll do for now. For some
Yeah.
people, they don't push themselves and they leave it like that.
But I feel it's supposed to be a little bit of an homage, one of those words, to Hit the Lights. Because it sounds very similar, and Hit the Lights, the chorus is just the title of the song. And the lyrics are once again just about everybody come together for the music, which is, so I feel like it's almost like recreating a vibe. So that's why I feel like the chorus is appropriate, but
Okay. No, absolutely. I get it. Here's my problem. My problem is, and we've all seen this with our parents, if we're lucky enough to still have them round.
Mm-hmm.
But you go from your parent looks after you and you're a child and you do dumb shit and they look out for you and they teach you. And then as time goes on, you start having to stop your parents doing dumb shit and explain to them like how the world works now. As all of us, we age, we return to our childhood.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is you learn how to play your instruments and how to write and how to write music and how to get better and how to write songs, and you push and you push. Then you get producers in to push you even harder, and then you push and push and push, and then you give up. You put your feet on the desk and you say, I know everything now, I'm done, and you phone it in for the rest of your career. And unfortunately for me, this sounds like old men pretending to be young. It sounds like old men who've forgotten that it's in there somewhere, but it's not quite clicking.
But what is the old men being old version of what they should be doing, though? Because they're literally playing a young man's game, and they are old. So
look, I know where you're coming from there, but what I'm saying is they are regressing. So they're starting to show their influences. Well, you don't do that. You start off in a band sounding like your influences.
Yeah.
Literally, that riff's Xentrix, that riff's Metallica. Like literally, you sound like your influences because you don't know any better. And if you're lucky enough, you stay together for a period of time and you develop your own sound. All your influences create a new sound that no one's ever heard before. That was Metallica. They are regressing. You now can pick out the influences. It started on Hardwired. It's getting worse as they get worse, as they lose the ability to do what they once did. And proof that Greg Feldman is not a producer.
I think it sounds better than Hardwired, but yeah, that's just me.
Nobody allows those bass drums. Not if they've got fucking ears.
I like that.
Sorry, you stupid Lars.
I've got
stupid cunt.
I've got a follow-up question to that, though. Can you think of a band that's been around 40 years that still makes music that sounds like they're an original band? New music.
Yeah, Aerosmith. Aerosmith created one of their greatest ever albums when they've been around 25, 30 years.
You've got a good point. Yeah, Pump's amazing. And honestly, the last album they did is pretty damn good, even though it's old dudes doing Aerosmith.
Yeah, I know. And do you know what? I pulled that one out my ass because as you were asking the question, I was thinking, oh, I'm fucked now.
Yeah, but even like Iron Maiden, you and I would agree that they have gotten complacent. And
I totally agree. But to a lesser extent.
Well, so obviously, like, I don't feel the way that you do. I definitely hear the influences there. But if this track is kind of like a certain vibe for this particular track where they were trying to go for that, and the rest of the album isn't just filled with that, then I'll be happy. I don't want it to be 12 tracks where each track is them. Like, now we're going to try to do a fucking Crocus song, or I don't know, some shit like that. I just, but I'm probably going to like it either way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I have to admit though, on first listen, I liked this song more than Hardwired when it first came out.
Right. Okay. I'm in the other other camp. I preferred Hardwired, but they also the thing I was going to say about Greg Feldman not being a producer.
Yeah.
So he's an employee.
He's an engineer,
which straight away means he's not a producer, although he's got a producer credit.
Oh, it does say, doesn't it? I thought it was produced by Metallica, engineered.
No, it's produced by Greg Feldman and James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich.
Got it.
And that cracks me up because a producer does a deal with a label on points and all the rest of it, and the label employs the producer to get the best out of the band.
Yeah.
Who owns the label? The band. It's fucked. The model is fucked.
Yeah.
Basically, what you have is Lars Ulrich doesn't want to practice and isn't very good at the drums anymore because he doesn't practice. And his favorite, he loves everything about being Metallica. Playing the drums is probably the least thing that he enjoys the most. Okay. It's all supposition, but
sure.
just go with it, right? He's got everything he wants. He's loving it. He's in the biggest heavy metal band in the world. He's still not that good at drums, but everything is coming together. He's a fucking brilliant songwriter, song arranger. He's great on the business side. He's a major reason as to why Metallica are the biggest heavy metal band in the world in history. The one thing that's still pissing him off in his job, having a boss. Boss comes in, tells you to do the drums again. Oh, fuck it. How annoying is it? No, do you know what? Fuck it. Get rid of him. Get rid of him. So and the rest of the band is sat there going, yeah, but he wouldn't be telling you shit if you were shit if you practiced. Lars has seen a different way of getting out of this. Don't practice, just sack producers or get a producer in who's just a fucking employee who has no say whatsoever.
So is this coming from the fact, do you think the drums don't sound good on the song?
I think the bass drums sound horrific. The drums are all fucking moved around like fuck. It makes, honestly, you can put a monkey behind the drum kit and the drums would sound great on the new Metallica album. It's for the fucking technology's there. It doesn't even need to be in time. And it will all just get put on the grid and it'll be in time. Listening to the album to judge Lars's drumming ability is a waste of time. What you need to do is see them live. And as you know, Hardwired, all the really intense bits magically are played off the album through the PA. And the songs start when Lars is able to play them, like Hardwired. Some of his double bass drum work at the moment it's not just sloppy, it's fucking out of time. It's just bad. It's just bad. And the thing is, the option is practice. And he's gone for the option of just don't have anybody who points out how shit you are and somebody who can just fix it. Just fucking fix it. And look, late in the day in their career, they're in charge. They don't want to be pushed by Bob Rock and things like that anymore. They're not interested in that. And to me, the new single, Luxor Turner, this is what the comfort zone sounds like. This is what not pushing yourself sounds like.
Yeah, honestly, when it comes to them working with Greg again, I was hoping that they wouldn't, but I also know that they started working on this during the pandemic. So I'm just like, well, of course they wouldn't work with anybody but the guy who's kind of in-house with them. So it makes sense. But most of what you just said in that rant was conjecture, as they say.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Pure.
Because you don't know that that's what Lars is doing. There are a lot of assumptions made about Lars, which I think are funny, because people will claim things like he doesn't actually have to play the drums; it's all cut and paste together. And sure, sections of it maybe, but there's plenty of footage from the last two albums of him playing all the drum parts, double, kick drum included.
No. Yes, he's still playing them. But what I'm saying is, he can play a whole beat out of time. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but don't you
get
think
put on the grid and quantized, so it makes no fucking difference.
But
it really doesn't.
I really don't. I don't think that he's that lazy with it. I think that there may be editing for sure, but I do think that he does his best to nail as much as possible, because I don't, knowing what I know about him, I don't think that Because the last thing you want is years down the line, some producer saying, "Oh, Lars couldn't get on time, so he literally played the snare and the kick one time, and we programmed it into."
They all sign NDAs, mate.
Maybe
that's
they do.
Not happening anyway. But I'll tell you what, I agree with what you said. I think, I think he is in there trying his best. I think his best is just a lot fucking worse than you think.
Maybe so. I mean, yeah. I'm not an apologist for him as a live drummer, except for the fact that what he does do live, most people couldn't do.
That doesn't work for me. That doesn't work for me.
He may technically not be the best. Well, what? Well, I mean, why doesn't it work? It's like, it's perfectly fine for the live setting.
Because it's his fucking job. He's not doing brain surgery.
It's
his fucking job. If I just phone it in, but I do it better than most people, that doesn't mean that what I've done is good.
But that's the thing, is that you're assuming he's phoning it in, and I'm telling you he's never been that good. And so he's not phoning it in. He's doing his best. He's
summoning it from the past.
That's the point I was trying to make, is that, like, he may not be good, but he is not phoning it in.
He may not be good, but he's also not shit. And if he's shit, he's my kind of shit.
He may not be the best, but he's the only Lars we got.
Fair enough. But also,
anyway,
the other thing that terrifies me about this is, over 77-minute runtime, and the singles come out and it's 3.5 minutes. That leaves 74 minutes for the other 11 tracks. There is going to be some meandering mid-pace bullshit.
Oh, I fucking hope so.
This will be some weak load ass bollocks. This will make Hardwired look like Master of Puppets.
But once again, see, that's not going to happen, because I want that to happen. I want them to make load and Saint Anger again. I want them to do
with a bit of Lulu, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Bring in some random homeless guy can come into the studio while he's drunk and just babble into the microphone, and that'll be one of the interludes or something.
How dare you speak about Dave Mustaine like that? Have some respect.
Anyway, I hope that so we can get off of this, because I liked the song, but
I tell you what, mate, we've got some mileage out of it, if nothing else.
We absolutely did. But that to me that was like, if we're wrapping up 2022, that was the big surprise at the end of the year for me. I was just like, holy shit, we have new shit from my favorite band ever, and hopefully the album is. I just want it to be better than Hardwired. It doesn't have to be better than Death Magnetic, because I love Death Magnetic, but I feel like that might not be.
I must admit, maybe I'm insane, but I love Death Magnetic.
Yeah.
And I reckon it's their last great album. Also, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, fucking hell, that's just bollocks, dig out the Guitar Hero mix of Death Magnetic, because it is a different experience entirely.
I'm sure it's on YouTube.
There's bass
somewhere
on it, there's harmonies, honestly, it's like listening to a completely different album. But it's great. I love it. And back to back with Saint Anger, it's I think it's fantastic. I think it's their last decent record. And what a surprise. Last time they worked with somebody who was telling them what to do, and stretching them and saying, no, do less of that, do more of that, do more of that, do less of that. And I'm gonna give them a pass this time. 6 years from now, when they do another album, I'm gonna be like, all right, work with somebody else. Come on. Yeah, fair enough. So you said you had an album to talk about. I do, and this coincides with a recent episode of Old Bollocks as well, because I want to talk about 7 Words by Xentrix. Hey,
which is fantastic, I have to admit. I was lukewarm to on the last one, Bury the Pain, the
Very
first one
pain,
with the first, their comeback album. I thought it was good. I thought it sounded good, and some of the songs were good, but there was something about it where I was like, this is good, but it's not what I would like it to be. This album, like, they topped that one like by miles, in my opinion. Like, it's really well done. It stands up with their old shit, in my opinion, and everybody sounds fucking great. But the songwriting is fucking. They're big, well-written songs with actual like interesting melodies and middle sections and song structures, and it's thrash the way that I love it, which is basically from the era they come from, 89, 90, that time period where the bands were putting more into their songs, but it's like they're being a little bit, for lack of a better word, progressive, but without writing 10-minute songs. They write 4 to 5 minute songs. But it sounds good. It's a blast to listen to. And just as a thrash metal fan, it just hits that sweet spot in my ears with the way the guitars sound and the vocals. And I really like this album. It's awesome, man. It's a possible top 10 for me. I haven't completely put together my top 10 for the end of the year yet, but this is one that I've heard it a few times, and each time I'm just like, I can't get over how memorable some of these songs are. And
that's awesome. That's awesome, man. And that's what you look for, when memorable,
Yeah.
Especially when you're fighting for people's ears these days. And the boys will be really pleased to hear that.
Yeah. That was a great interview. I watched that you guys did, that you did with the
good.
two
I'm
of them.
glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, because I'm a fan of that band. So I'm just, I like hearing what goes into their process.
Yeah, we've known each other many, many years. And I mean, I remember turning up to do one of my first Talking Bollocks interviews, and I was interviewing Bobby Blitz.
Mm-hmm.
And because Xentrix was supporting him.
Okay.
And I turned up and I bumped into them out back, and they were like, "Hey, all right." And I was like, "Oh, all right, guys." They goes, "You lot want to be doing this? You lot should be doing." And I was like, "Yeah, it's not happening, man. It's not happening. None of my guys are interested. Yeah, forget it." And they were like, "Oh, well, it's a laugh." And then, all these years later, we're doing it. They're doing it. 2 albums out now. It's fantastic. It really is. And I'm really pleased for them. I'm really pleased for them.
It is interesting, though, that now they're doing a tour with Chris, or a handful of shows or whatever. I don't know how many shows they're doing with him, but then, because obviously they're not going to play any of the newer material. So it's almost like I wish that I lived over there. So then, I can go see them do a tour where they just play old shit, and then maybe a year down the line,
then they come around again. Yeah, absolutely.
That's perfect.
But as I said in the interview, it's just typical music business, though. They've timed everything perfectly. A new album, the tour, everything, and then something happens.
Well, typical. I mean, having a baby is a big deal, and
well, not really. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's quite a few of them around, and we're not running out. We're not actually running out of human beings.
But your baby is your baby, and you want to be there for it. I understand that.
Yeah. I just think they're overrated. They're just people. Okay,
they're just tiny people that can't even talk. Jeez.
Well, let's face it. Sooner or later, your baby is going to become an adult, and they're going to be a twat, and they're going to have repulsive opinions that you can no longer shape. And, so there you go. I've just gone the other route of not having children. But then again, the world breathes a sigh of relief. Thank you, Howard. The last thing we need is anything out of your balls walking around the planet.
But yeah,
it's
great.
It's good for you, man. Good for you.
Yeah, I highly recommend it to anybody that's just if you're just a thrash fan, and you may not know Xentrix, because over here Xentrix is not a huge thing.
Look, UK thrash is fucking laughed at, basically. in the
which
States.
is, and
Nobody
that's
gives
part
a
of
shit.
my, that's been, one of my missions ever since I started my channel, is to talk about Acid Rain and Xentrix and Slammer and all my favorite
and you end up doing a podcast with a singer from Acid Rain.
exactly.
So,
That's
how
what,
weird is that?
that's like, my wife likes to remind me of that sometimes. She's like, did you even think that one day your channel would be doing very well, let alone you'd be doing a show with a singer of one of your favorite bands? I'm like, yeah, I didn't think that would happen, but whatever. It's it's a perk of me, I guess, doing moderately well at what I do.
But it's also the value. I was having this conversation with somebody recently, and I was saying about the what's the it's a meritocracy, the world of online.
Yeah.
Because like you hear about people and they go, oh yeah, they did this and did that, and now they're making loads of money and blah, blah, blah. Oh, wouldn't it? And people always say, oh, wouldn't it be good? Oh, I must think of something that I can do and blah, blah. The beauty of it is that you can't reverse engineer this shit.
Yeah.
Because it starts with having a passion about something. It might be music, it might be gaming, it might be shopping. It doesn't matter what it is, but you're going to need that passion to constantly create content, to want to create content, to keep doing it, to getting
if I wasn't that into it, I would have stopped doing this a year ago or more.
Yeah, absolutely. so you have to have the passion in the first place. You can't reverse engineer it. You can't go, what would make money? Oh, I'll be passionate about. No, that's the whole thing, is that you have to love it, you have to do it, and just hope somebody else will love it and be into it. And if they are, and you get some more people, and this is going really well, and then like one day suddenly, if shit's blown up, great, and someone will say to you that your job is easy and that it's all fallen in your lap.
Yeah.
and then you point out to them how much time you spend putting content together. And also, as I know, because some kids I know are they're the kids of friends of mine. One of them, earns £5,000-6,000 a month on YouTube. Wow. Now, everyone goes like, "Oh, that's great! Oh, isn't that wonderful?" and all the rest of it. And it's like, and his dad's like, "I wish he had a shop." Do you know what I mean? And I was like, "Well, I think you're just being a bit old school." And he said, "Yeah, but do you know what? If you buy a shop and you buy the freehold and you've got some land, etc., that's, even if you can't buy it, but you've got a shop." The trouble with his shop is that he doesn't have a lease, he doesn't own it, he doesn't have a say in what the rules are. And anytime the people who own where he does his stuff, they can change the rules, which will massively affect his income. In other words, yeah, you're at the mercy of Google. You're at the mercy of the algorithm. You're at the mercy of their terms and conditions. And a couple of weeks ago, somebody got the hump with him. They had a bit of a row, whatever. So this person went on YouTube, flagged one of his videos, and said that it was like rude or pornographic or whatever.
Yeah.
Google just took it down straight away, and reduced his traffic for a fortnight. And he's like, "Guys, I've been on here 6 years. I've never had a single complaint." And they're like, "Oh, right, yeah, whatever. Don't give a fuck."
Yeah.
So he literally, and it had a huge impact, because it's not just the 2 weeks. It's everybody who comes back over the 2 weeks and thinks you're not doing anything. So, and it took him about 2 months to recover from that. And that is the issue that like content creators are facing all the time, as well as constantly creating content. You have to have a minimum, I think it's 11,000 hours or something crazy like that, a month of original content before you can monetize. It's, there's all sorts of different terms and conditions.
You have to have a certain number of subscribers before you can monetize, which I think it's just, I don't remember how much it is, but it's, I've been monetizing for a while now, but I don't make very much money at all.
No. Well, the thing is, what they wanted to stop somebody putting a video on YouTube that goes viral and that person earns a load of money off that one video. It's like, well, that's no good for YouTube's business plan.
Yeah.
That's no good for them, so it has to work for them first and everybody else second.
No. If I was trying to get to a point where I could quit my job doing this, I would be stressed the fuck out all the time. That's not my thing at all.
No. And well, like, I mean, these guys are young and
yeah,
they are just like on it all the time. And the thing is as well, there's no fucking office hours. They are at work all the time, every day.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's so, it kind of makes me laugh that there's certainly my generation, maybe yours too, kind of look down on kids making money on YouTube. Oh, kids these days, they just want to be influencers. They want to do something on YouTube. Fucking idiots. They don't want to work. Are you kidding me? They don't want to work. They're doing way more fucking work than I did at their age. Way more. Because it's just work that you don't see as work, but that doesn't mean it's not work.
Yeah, I mean, we, especially over here, we treat like movie stars like they're fucking royalty, and they're just playing pretend and getting paid for it because they entertain people. So if Home Dude playing a video game and talking over it is entertaining somebody, then whatever. It's like it's supply and demand. Really, if nobody wanted to watch it, they wouldn't watch it.
Well, it is, but it ultimately as well. It's like you don't control what's going to take off. Do you know what I mean? It's like when
I've seen that a lot with me.
Yeah. When people first do unboxing videos, you don't know, like the first unboxing videos. All of a sudden, unboxing videos become a massive thing.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that? Who would have predicted that? Who would have predicted that video gamers watching other video gamers play video games on YouTube would become a thing?
Yeah.
But gamers want to see elite gamers play and see how they play and steal their. It is mad. And I think the older you get, the further you get away from this. It's very easy to look at stuff and just go, oh, that's shit. No, that's easy. And it really fucking isn't. And to your point, as you said there, and I know from having done this for the last coming up 9 years, something you think's really going to take off doesn't, and something that you think is just going to be average goes through the fucking roof.
Yeah,
and none of it makes any sense.
Yep. I mean, it was the whole thing. It's lucky. I think I'm lucky though, because I am part of a generation that would normally be looking down on people doing YouTube type shit, but it worked out for me because I always wanted an outlet to talk about music, but I'm a very nervous and anxious person that doesn't like going out and talking to people in person. So all of a sudden it creates this way for me to actually communicate more than I did before I did this. Like this has helped you, inverted commas, in the real world. Yeah, it's an outlet where it's helped with my self-esteem. It's helped with just my overall sort of outlook on everything, because now I'm not just a shut-in that just talks to my wife.
Yeah, it's definitely helped with your record collection.
That as well. Although that, that's, you could say that that's hurting me because that's where all my extra money goes. But yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I cut across you there because you were saying that, like, describing yourself previously as some sort of shut-in.
Yeah. I mean, I had like maybe a couple friends that I occasionally would go have a drink with, but I was a guy that went to work and then I went home and I would listen to music or whatever. And if I went out, because I've dealt with like anxiety like my whole life. And if I walk into a room where there's shitloads of people, and especially if I don't know them, I have the worst time. And so the idea of going out and like being social with people all the time, that's never been a thing that I've ever wanted to do. And so now it's like I get a chance to do that without really having to do that. So
it
works
awesome,
out.
man.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. And social anxiety sucks. I mean, I can't even begin to kind of understand that, because you know, that's where I'm at home on a stage, or you know, in a you know, with a crowd of complete strangers.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like I mean, I played in a lot of bands over the years, and I never got over the nerves of it. But at least I had other people on stage with me, and it was loud noise, and there were lights in my face, so I couldn't really look at people that were out in the crowd. But any situation where I would have to get in front of people alone, oh fuck that. it was the end of the world for me.
Oh man, well, I'm pleased that it's all helped. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. And what else is awesome is that I've got our Mexico dates in. So once we've done this, we're gonna have to see if any of them are near you.
That's awesome. Is the wait? This is going out on in the world? Is it been announced?
Nah, but to be honest, you know, the full on official announcement will properly kick off probably next year. But
well, you heard it here first.
Just
acid rain in Mexico.
Yeah, absolutely. 12, 13 days. Nice. We're covering the whole country.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be insane, man. It's going to be insane. It's going to be insane for one specific reason,
which is
London is at its highest 200 feet above sea level.
Oh,
Mexico City is 7,200 feet above sea level. So we've got oxygen. We've got oxygen side stage every night, because we're gonna fucking need it. Because
I did not even think about that.
Neither did I until I don't know what it was, but literally a light bulb in my head went, "Oh fuck, we're going to be performing at altitude. Oh my god, this is going to be tough. Yeah. It's going to be very tough. It's going to be the toughest on who? That's right, fucking me." Because I need lungs full of air to be able to do what I do, and if I'm not getting those lungs full of air, then the vocal cords pay for it.
Sure.
So yeah, oh man, I'm gonna have to be as fit as a butcher's dog by the time we fly out there. But it's lovely. We're getting flown out a couple of days in advance, either side, beginning and end. I can't wait, man. I can't wait. But it's the music industry. Could all fall through tomorrow.
That's very true. Yeah.
Anywho, shall I do my album?
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. Other than do you know what? I'm gonna do two.
Okay.
I'm gonna do two.
I'll mention one more briefly too, so we'll be even.
All right, okay. Well, firstly, it is Gridiron. The album is called No Good at Goodbyes, and it's fucking marvelous. It's heavy as hell, loads of rapping, but like, even if you don't like rapping, which I know you're not a massive fan of, even if you don't like rapping in metal, you will love it. Oh, come on. You hate Slipknot. Every time there's rapping, fuck off.
Except for all the hip hop albums I have in my collection. I like actual rapping. Yes.
Right. Right. So you're a traditionalist. You believe the swords should never cross.
No, because I'm a Limp Bizkit fan. I just hate Corey Taylor rapping.
Okay. Right. Okay. Well, to me, it sounds like a kind of modern, even more hardcore Biohazard. It's that good. It is that fucking good. There's really not a lot to say about it, other than if you like New York hardcore, and if you like rapping, but also if you like proper riffs. They've just got everything. It is a real surprise to me. A real surprise. Even more surprising is when I found out that it was actually a pandemic side project. And it was the hardcore band formed during the pandemic, features members of bigger bands like Never Ending Game, Year of the Knife, and Payback. Those members are split across the states of Michigan and Pennsylvania.
Wow. I mean, I don't know any of those bands either.
Well, it says this dude says to his ears, he says it has more in common with pre-new metal bands like Rage Against the Machine and Downset,
Yeah,
and stuff like that. And I would add those kind of New York hardcore rhythms. There is just rhythms on this album where you just go, oh man, that groove right there that only exists in this kind of music. It doesn't exist in new metal. It doesn't exist in thrash. It's just there.
yeah.
So whoever, whatever you think of, bands like Biohazard or Agnostic Front and shit like that, but also there's some real slayery riffs on this fucker. Seriously, check it out, everyone. Gridiron, No Good at Goodbyes. I've only just discovered it, and I think it's going to make an appearance in my top 5. And I am literally, I'm still in single figure listens on it, but every time I listen to it, I'm just like, oh God. I know this might sound a bit strange, but this album makes me feel happy.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
That is the best review anybody could give anything, I think.
It's like, it's not just, oh, I like this. It's that I'm happy that it exists and that I found it.
Yeah.
As well as it's really good. Do you know what I mean?
The couple songs you played on Radio Bollocks that were pretty cool, and you're right, because my initial thought was it was very new metal, but the riffs aren't new metal.
Yeah, they've got more in common with Slayer than they have with anything new metal.
Yeah,
it's a really, really intriguing mix, and it's one of those things that if just one ingredient in the mix can spoil it for you. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I love all this. Oh, it's that. Never mind. But all the boxes are ticked. All the food groups are represented. I am happy.
Yeah. Speaking of that, though, another nice thing this year for me is they announced the original Biohazard lineup is reuniting.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was a really big Biohazard fan for the first 3 albums. 4th one's pretty good, but then I kind of fell off after that. But
same here.
I still am open to that kind of shit. So if they get back together, I mean, I think they're just doing shows. They have shows planned, no album plans as far as I know, but I'll be ready for that shit because I think they're a great band.
I totally agree. And I too was extremely pleased to see that, they were getting back together. And I will be going to whatever venue they turn up in London. I will be heading there. That's for sure.
Yeah,
definitely. So the other album that I wanted to mention, is by now. You've actually heard a song off this. Obviously, it's by a band called He Is Legend.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm a big fan of this band. I go on about them. I play them on Radio Bollocks, which is the Patreon only radio show. Come and join us. I think they're an incredible band. I really, really do. Because at times, they manage to sound like, I'd be listening to it and thinking, is this still them? Is this still He Is Legend? Because it's has it strayed into, because they just go off on some really weird routes. But this album is, I think, it's on its way. If I'd got it a couple of weeks previous, it might be in my top 5. It's very close. If there was a top 6, it would be in. I might even do a top 6 this year, just to put it in there. It's called Endless Hallway by He Is Legend. And there's some massive, gorgeous grooves and choruses and songs, but it's also unmistakably He Is Legend. It's like, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe them as a band. Are they a bit like the Deftones? Yeah, but it's not really the Deftones. Yeah, okay. So, who are they? How would you describe them? And it's really, really tough. I mean, help me out. Would you,
That's the only song I've ever heard by them is the one that you played. And
Oh, really?
and honestly, like it didn't hold my attention but I think it's because sometimes there's too many modern elements in
Yeah,
something.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, with that particular song, it starts out very modern,
Yeah.
and it's like you're struggling to find the groove. I'm like,
Yeah.
where are these guys at? What are they about?
Yeah.
What's all this? Then the verse comes in, and you go, okay, well, that verse is not what I was expecting because you've led me to believe this is going to be crushingly fucking heavy. I was waiting for coming
Yeah.
in, and it's gone into a kind of fairly restrained pedestrian verse. Then the chorus comes in, and the chorus is fucking massive. It's like some beautifully melodically constructed new metal chorus. It's except good, and and you're just like, oh my god, that's amazing. And then it just goes back into another groove where you're like, oh, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Man, it's a challenging listen, but the more you listen to it, the more it's kind of like, right, yeah, I'm feeling this out. And I mean, I'm on album like number 5 or 6 with these guys. The last album, White Bat, was okay. It had its moments. The album before that was called Few, FEW,
Mhm.
and that was awesome, absolutely awesome. Heavy as hell, really melodic as well, though. Like a metal Deftones.
Mhm.
That's the only, and I know Deftones are metal, and he's a fucking amazing riff machine, but his legend is just a bit. It's just a little bit more different. It's a little bit to the left.
Yeah.
So I've not done a very good job of selling it, but
Well, I mean,
check it out.
I would need to hear more in order to actually have an opinion on it because I don't know. I'm very weird about there's a lot of modern metal that kind of fits all in the same area, even though it's not necessarily all the same, but it has a certain sound that I just go, this is not really for me. And it takes a lot to really kind of push me off of that.
Right. Okay. Well, I know that's what you were thinking when you heard probably the first like minute and a half of that song. You're just like, yeah, this is that stuff I don't like. It's like, yeah, and I know because it's like, I like it, but even listening back, having put it on the show, that first like minute and a half is so challenging because there's nothing to hold on to. It's like it's like you're climbing this wall and there's no handholds anywhere. It's like, just give me something, give me a beat, a melody, give me anything. And I do get it, but I think there's stuff like, if you dig, there is stuff there that you would like.
Cool. All right. Yeah. No, I'll
find
check
out.
out. I'll check out more of it. Yeah.
So what's your other thing?
Oh, I'll briefly talk about it just because it's the only other album since the last time that we talked that I've listened to and have anything to say about, and that's the new NOFX album, which is called Double Album, but it's not a double album, but it is the second album related to an album that came out last year, so called Single Album, so it kind of makes it a double album. But anyway, I
that was fun.
Yeah, I am a NoFX fan where I was a massive fan up until about 98, late 90s. I started to become less interested in them, and that's because their sound kind of shifted in the mid 90s and away from being so much like skate punk and a little more complicated. And then it became a lot more straightforward where I don't know, it became a little poppier, I guess. And then eventually it became, with modern NoFX, Fat Mike's lyrics are the star of the show. Everything else is just a bed for those lyrics to go on top of. But there's still some good shit. That being said, the album last year, Single Album, I liked some of it a lot. some of it I was like, it's NOFX. I like that they're still going. This album is like, at least the first half of it, I was really impressed with the fact that it was, I think, the same recording session as the other one. But I'm like, wow, they hung on to like some really strong songs. And one of which to me sounds like a song that could have come from the 90s. But at the same time, it is very lyric heavy to the point where most songs don't have a chorus that repeats. It's just lyrics that just go. And he's very clever and a really great lyric writer. But sometimes it gets a little bit taxing because you're like, okay, it's another reference to old punk rock bands. Okay, it's another double entendre. Well, that's a triple entendre or whatever. It's just, so it's that part gets a little tiresome, and some of the songs sound a little samey to things that they had already done. But that being said,
do you know what? Even Picasso, occasionally someone said, mate, just fucking knock out a cartoon, will you? Go on.
Yeah. But I mean, I think I'm looking at it differently now because they announced that, like, I think after 2023, they're hanging it up. Like they're going to be their last year as a band. And so I'm just glad they're still putting shit out because I still enjoy what they do. And they are a band that I've been with for a long time. But it's not amazing, but it's not going to bring anybody back to NOFX that had fallen off of NOFX, but it's still a quality album. But I enjoyed it. Not going in my top 10, but I did enjoy it.
There you go. Solid. Put that on the poster.
Yeah.
It's not going in my top 10, but it's solid. It's a NOFX record. It's like, that's my review of the last Lamb of God album. Lamb of God album.
Yeah.
I mean, change the world.
There are a few albums that I've noticed that my possible top 10 is around a top 15. So I'm going to have to leave things out, and some albums that I really like. So that's why I haven't even completed my top 10 yet. Cause I'm just like, fuck, I got to figure out. And it's weird because most people don't care. Like I'll put out a top 10 video. People will watch it and go, all right. And then they'll move on with their lives. But me, I stress over it. Like, no. What album goes in what order? Oh my God. And so I stay up late at night thinking about it. And so it's a deal, a huge ordeal.
No one cares other than you. Yeah. I know. But welcome to the world of but that doesn't make any difference. I still have to do this way.
Yep. Absolutely.
I must admit, I've found some albums recently that I've enjoyed, but they don't call to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I'll be like either looking through my phone or whatever, and I'll be like, oh wow, I haven't listened to that for about 2 or 3 weeks. And then this other voice in my head will go, you really like that album? And I go, yeah. Why don't you listen to it more? And I go, well, it needs to make me want to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like I don't think I'm becoming. I think it's just a more picky. Maybe just harder to please. But I am finding albums that, and again, listening to music for work. I've been doing it for a very fucking long time. Mm-hmm. So you can, I can digest an album very quickly, which is not a great thing because it means you tend to just exhaust an album really quickly.
Yeah.
Like Cigar. I love that album. It's in my top 5. Oh. But I can't play it. Because,
oh wow.
Well, because I can hear it. I know the whole album.
That's great that something I recommended, it made it to your top 5.
Oh, dude, absolutely. Absolutely. And it is bang right in there straight away. No doubt whatsoever.
It's in my top 10. I just don't know where. It's going to figure out a place.
I don't bother with that. I go, here's the top 5. You choose the order. I don't care.
Yeah.
But another album in my top 5, giving away all the secrets now, was recommended by Stefan Blaine, who's a friend of mine on Facebook, I've known for years.
Oh, I had a feeling.
Deficiency Warrenta, which was recommended on the old Scott Bastard feature. Sorry, Scott, had to do it. Not that you're listening. And he mentioned that, and I listened to it, and that's in my top 5. So there you go, Scott. You see, somebody got their pick in a top 5 at the end of the year. If anybody's wondering who Scott is, don't. I
was trying to think of other albums that you and I both really liked in the episodes we've done. The only one I can think of is Korn. We both really liked the new Korn.
And it's not an album, it's an EP.
Oh, I mean, I still really go. I actually go back to that album a lot, and so I'm counting it. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, funnily enough, I've got the Korn EP on my mentions along with the Violence EP as well.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure the Korn album is longer than the Cigar album.
Yeah, but it's not length, is it? It's about the volume of songs. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, it's not about the length, it's about the volume.
That's what she said.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not the length, it's the width. There's just a few things where I'm like, yeah, I really, really, really like that album, and yet I haven't played it for weeks.
Yeah.
But I think just with all the general shit going on in our lives, and certainly going on in my life at the moment, it's going to take a pretty special album to kind of break through and get a chance at regular listens, because I've just got a lot on my plate at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's why Gridiron is smashing into the top 5, because it's like those big beefy motherfuckers have grabbed hold of me and gone, "You're gonna fucking listen to our album all the time."
Yeah. I mean, it's also a pretty daunting task these days, because I try to listen to a whole lot of shit all the time.
Yeah.
So if something doesn't grab me, if I give it, like a song and a half, usually, and then like, is this pulling me in? Unless it completely offends me within the first 30 seconds, and I'm just like, fuck off. But there's a whole lot of things that I'm sure are quality albums by great bands, but they don't, like you're saying, they don't break through. And so that's the shitty thing. Because I think for a lot of people, I think now that people have gotten to know my channel pretty well, they understand. But some people, because of some of the bands I talk about, they expect my top 10 to be 10 metal bands. And usually it's 3 metal bands and like 7 other types of music kind of things, because just depends on what it is that breaks through. And I listen to so much shit. So, it's people, while you're going to go to some people's pages and they're going to be talking about, Megadeth, one of the best albums of the year. And I'm going to be like, didn't do anything for me. So,
yeah, definitely not one of the best albums of the year, but there you go.
Hey.
But do you know what? I was thinking about that as well. And I was thinking, like, I really, really liked Dystopia. Yeah. I really liked Dystopia. I've got Dystopia on CD and vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a genuinely strong, good record.
Yeah.
He's like, what the fuck happened there?
I think it's an album that starts off very strong and doesn't really end very strong. But I mean, that's just me.
No, but you've just described every Megadeth album since fucking Countdown to Extinction.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you'd probably throw Risk in there as well, but that's because your ears are broken.
I like Risk, but I'm not going to say it's good all the way through.
Yeah. You're not going to risk it.
No. But yeah.
Well, that was the other. Yeah, that was another big thing that happened this year, wasn't it? It's like, 2 of the big 4 have put albums out. One of the big 4's retired and one hasn't put an album out. So, that's where we're at.
I'm assuming 2023 is going to end up.
Oh, sorry. Metallica put one single out. Idiot. Yeah.
Well, nobody else. It was only Megadeth that put out albums.
Yes. Yeah, I know. I was thinking for some reason I was saying Metallica had, purely because they put a single out, which is insane.
But I'm pretty sure that we're going to get an Anthrax album next year, which I'm looking forward to. That's honestly, that's the thing I'm looking forward to so far this year, because not only am I seeing Metallica in August, I'm seeing Anthrax in May here, or April, something like that here. So two of my favorite bands I'm getting to see, and I'm almost like, well, now they need to put out another album, and Anthrax is headlining in a venue where, like, I can just get there early, walk up to the front of the stage. Unfortunately, I have to sit through fucking Zakk Wylde and whatever his fucking band is. But what's that band called? They're awful. I don't know what they're called.
Don't know. Zakk Wylde and his 5-star barbecue dickheads. I don't know.
That's a really good one. I wish if he was called that, I might be a little bit more into it.
Really?
5-star barbecue dickheads.
Yeah, or 5-star barbecue dickhead himself, Kid Rock.
Hey, there you go.
Because Zakk Wylde always reminds me of the guitar playing metal version of Kid Rock, which is probably very harsh on Zakk Wylde, because he wouldn't appear to be a complete dickhead Republican fucking wanker.
I don't think so.
You know, never mind.
Anyway, but yeah, so I'm assuming we're going to get the other two big four this next year. Obviously, we're not getting Slayer, but we probably are going to get Kerry King's new band, because he's been hinting at it. And he says, hey, it sounds. He didn't say it. Somebody else said they heard it and said, oh, it sounds like Slayer. I'm like, of course it fucking does.
What a surprise!
Yeah,
I was expecting some sort of, like, you know, southern sludge groove metal kind of thing. Not.
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me either, actually. But you know,
look, Kerry knows that Slayer have retired. And people who like Slayer want the closest thing to Slayer they can get that isn't Slayer. It'll be Kerry's new album.
All he needs to do, he just has to do two things. One, come up with a name that sounds pretty good. Two, make all the songs fast. And then literally the metal community will just ejaculate all over him. And then he can move on with his career. And that's all it's going to be.
Oh, I don't know. There was a lot of you know, Kerry Burger King, and Slayer is just Kerry King, and he's like forcing the rest of them to do it, and all the rest. I think there'll be some interesting reactions to what he puts out. I hope it. I mean, do you know what I'm expecting? I'm expecting a whole album that will sound like a Slayer B-side. You know, like, hey, wow, just imagine how good this would be if it was Slayer. But it's not.
Yeah.
Just imagine what this might have sounded like with Tom singing on it, but he isn't. And basically, I think it will be a reminder for everybody of, like, this has gone. This is the closest thing to that thing that's gone, and it's not as good as that thing. So, yeah.
Which you've just described the Pantera reunion. So there you go.
Yeah, true. I tell you what, if he puts out an album that everyone goes, this is fucking great. Yeah. If he puts an album out where people go, yeah, it will die very quickly. It will wither on the vine and die. Yeah. It'll be one album, one tour, you're out.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I think he's probably, whoever he's working with behind the scenes, they're gonna make sure that this thing makes a big splash. I have a feeling anyway.
Oh, look, I really hope it does. I really hope it does, because I also, I mean, talk about, you know, you've defended Lars Ulrich. That's mad. How about I say nice things about Kerry King? Let's go totally fucking insane on this podcast.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he's a bit closer to Kid Rock, but okay.
Yeah. Well, surprisingly more progressive than some of the Cuban members in the band.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
But hey, you know, some women voted for Trump. There's no telling how stupid some people are. But he, you know, he doesn't get the credit he deserved, because he kept that fucking show on the road since about 2008. And he didn't want to stop. He didn't want to stop, and he didn't want to quit. And it must be horrific, like, just doing that all your life, and then it stops, and you don't want it to stop. You can carry on. Everything's fine, but it's done. And that must be,
if I put myself in that in those shoes, I would be the guy that keeps a band going forever.
Oh yeah, no matter
Like that, like I would be, if it, like that's why I look at like the Rolling Stones, and the Rolling Stones are still a great band for how old they are. But some people are all like, he's still up there like 80, and I'm like, wouldn't you? Like I probably would too. Yeah.
What's he supposed to do? Go down the allotment and plant cabbages?
Yeah. Fuck. I don't know.
It's here for a good time, not for a long time.
If people still show up, go fucking do it. That's all I say.
Yeah, absolutely, and I hope it works for I hope it works out for Kerry. I hope it's a huge success. Hey, this has turned into a prediction of 2023 as opposed to any kind of review of 2022. But not that we were really going to do one.
Yeah, I'm like, what else happened? Oh, yeah, speaking of that, I can do a mini show review because I actually went to go see a band that we both really like. I got to see Carcass here.
Oh wow!
2 or 3 weeks ago, I went to the show. The tour was Amon Amarth, Carcass, Obituary, Cattle Decapitation. So pretty strong show. And
so is that Amon Amarth headlining?
Yeah,
Carcass on just before them.
Yep. Which was perfect because I don't really care for Amon Amarth, and so I got to get home early.
That's a real shame. That's a real shame. You being in the band and everything.
Yeah.
You Viking rowing motherfucker.
I literally just got a comment on one of my videos today that said, "You look like the guys from Amon Amarth," and so I commented back, "Or they look like me." But Carcass Obituary were great. I don't know how you feel about Obituary, but that's one. But Carcass, man, they like that. I mean, everybody knows they're a great band, but I'm just blown away by just like how they are so tight and play so well that they just make every other band seem like amateurs. And so it's just great. And they played, luckily, because I go see a band on a tour and I want them to play new shit. And luckily they did play a handful of songs off of Torn Arteries. And I don't think they played anything off Surgical Steel, but they played the usuals like Heart Work and stuff like that. But they just put on
anything off Surgical Steel.
I don't remember them playing anything off Surgical Steel.
Wow, that does surprise me. But
man, just hearing like the Size Remorseless Swing live, like it was massive. It was huge. But it was great. They're one of my favorite bands, and so just I've seen them before, but this was the first time that I actually, because like I said, as a person that's weird in crowds, it takes a lot for me to like push my way up to the front, and I was about 2 or 3 people away from the stage for Carcass, and I was just loving it at that point. Like I don't care who's around me.
I was just going to say, at that point it's like you're unaware of other people. It's just you and the band.
It's just occasionally I get pushed forward because all the kids moshing in the back of me, but other than that, like it was just a fantastic show. And it was a big venue with shitloads of people there, and it was like, that's great because I know how hard it is to come from England and tour over here. And then, of course, you got Amon Amarth touring from fucking Sweden. That's from Sweden?
Sweden, Norway, let's say Scandinavia. There
somewhere.
You go.
Yeah.
Job done.
But it's great to see those bands getting that kind of turnout, because I'm just like, I don't want it to become a regular thing where a band from overseas puts out an album and they go, sorry, we're just going to do local shows because we can't fucking afford to go on tour. So
yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. And funnily enough, I've missed them. And earlier you reminded me of I missed Anthrax and Municipal Waste over here. I because I was out of London and I got an email from my contact at Nuclear Blast that morning saying guest list is all sorted and all, and I was like, oh fuck. So I missed him, and that did piss me off, because I really would have liked to see Anthrax perform Antisocial for the 95th time.
Well, much like Carcass, when Anthrax comes through in a few months, I plan on once again braving my way into the crowd.
And going down the front, go down the front and just constantly shouting antisocial. When are you going to play anti?
No, I'm just going to shout out John Bush song titles the whole time. That's all I'm going to do.
Oh God, yeah, no, that'd be funny.
No, but I'm happy to hear them play Antisocial. When I'm seeing them live, they can play whatever song they want. It's when I'm watching like footage online that I'm like, oh, why are they playing that song again?
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, on Friday we had a discussion without you, because there's we first Friday of the month we do a live podcast with just patrons. Sign up if you want to come along. And funnily enough, Anthrax came up in the discussion, and I said that if you heard that Anthrax had been rehearsing in New York and they had all been gunned down by Joey Belladonna, and then he turned the gun on himself, you'd all go, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Really?
No, I get that. I mean, it's been coming, hasn't it? It's been coming in interviews for years. He's not over it. Come on. He's really not over it. He's still pissed at. There was no need for him to be thrown out of the band in the first place. That's Joey's stance. Still doesn't get it. Still doesn't want to do the songs. Grudgingly doesn't do it as well as John Bush. No. And he's I literally saw an interview about 6 months ago with him, and he's like talking about it, basically saying, "Oh yeah, they completely fucked me over. Yeah, completely fucked me over." And I have to be in a room with these people every day. You just have to learn to, learn to try and work with it. And you just think, fucking hell.
Yeah, as much as I love Joey, sometimes in interviews, it really does come across as just a job.
Just leave. If you're that unhappy, leave.
I don't think he's unhappy, because I think he loves performing. He loves doing the songs and playing with the band. I just think that the interpersonal side of things, from what I've gathered, he's not a guy that like hangs out with them. He hangs out on his own, does his own thing. When it's time to go on the show, he walks onto the stage. I don't think they're pals. They might be a little bit, but I don't think that they are.
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic. It's a weird dynamic. And for anybody to be as open, and it's anybody who's been as open as Joey has in some interviews as well, he's come out and said, no, I'm not friends like their friends, and referring to them. Yeah. It's like,
but I do, wow. But I think that's how it always was, though. Because because I don't know if you watch like the one of the home videos where they're on tour, every time you see the other members of Anthrax, Joey's not there. Every time you see Joey, the other members of Anthrax aren't there.
But Joey was shipped in, wasn't he? I mean, that's basic. Joey was shipped in to be the singer in Anthrax. The rest of them were already there.
Yeah.
And he's a little bit older as well, isn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of, he still sounds fucking fantastic, though.
He sounds incredible. He sounds absolutely incredible. He really does.
You are right, though. I prefer them to not do any John Bush era songs. I don't care to hear that unless John Bush is singing those songs. But I feel exactly the same way. I don't want Joey sings John Bush songs better than John Bush sings Joey songs. And so I always, that's the thing that always bummed me out from the John Bush era, is that they had to start every fucking show with Caught in a Mosh. I'm just like, don't make John do that. Start off with High Pro Glow or something, like, something just like, you got all these fucking killer songs with John and you're still making him do Antisocial and making him do Got the Time,
making us do Antisocial.
Yeah, but now I feel the other way around, where I'm like, they can do all these songs as much as they want. I don't. It doesn't. I love Sound of White Noise. It's in my top 3 Anthrax albums, but I don't want to hear Joey singing any songs off that album. And the funny thing is, whenever it's mentioned,
Like whenever anything's mentioned, like Scott Ian's going, "Oh, that'd be pretty cool," and John Bush is going, "Yeah, that I like the sound." And Joe Belladonna's like, "Yeah, well, that'll never happen."
Yeah.
And right there, you're like, "No, it won't, will it, Joey? Because
Yeah.
you're not interested."
But
Yeah.
I mean, but at this point, it's the same sort of thing where they've got the last time I saw Anthrax, which was several years ago, they had just put out For All Kings. And when I saw them live, they played 2 songs from For All Kings. I'm like motherfuckers, I came here because I like this new album. Play at least 4, maybe 5 songs off the new album. But I feel like that I'm in the minority because I think a lot of people go to concerts to hear the hits, and that's it.
Now you see, for me, that is where you do your set list for fans of your band, right? And casuals who want to hear the hits, well, that's what they get to hear at festivals.
Yes,
that's a festival set list and a tour set list should be completely different. That's why I was a bit peeved with Judas Priest when they headlined Bloodstock. I so wanted to say Blabbermouth for some reason, but they headlined Bloodstock, and it was a tour set. It was loads of deep cuts, and by the time they played something I recognized, I was halfway back to the campsite. I was like, "Oh, I know this one. Oh, fuck it, it's Turbo Lover."
They played Turbo Lover? So okay, so here's an interesting thing that's happened.
So it's like, please, mate, don't.
Here's an interesting thing that happened in 2022. So I famously have never been a Judas Priest fan. Just never gotten into them. It may be going on 2 years ago that on Cranked and Ranked we ranked the Judas Priest album. So I got my first time going in and listening to everything all the way through. Even then, I was like, some of it's good, some of it I'm not really into. But over the past several months, I have now become a fan of Judas Priest, but only the 80s Judas Priest. So everything up to Ram It Down, I'm all about that shit now.
That means nothing to me, mate. I've owned one Judas Priest album in my entire life, and that was British Steel.
Okay, well, this is post British Steel's the beginning of the 80s, but they got way more 80s. And Turbo Lover is a good example of that. But they didn't do a whole lot of songs like that, but there's a whole lot of like 80s hard rock kind of stuff. And for some reason that just like that ticks a box for me now. And now like whenever I see I see like
it's a guilty pleasure. You don't know why you feel like this.
It's not even guilty though. Like I'm absolutely fine with going up to somebody and being like, "Look, I want to see Judas Priest only do 80s songs. I don't want to hear Painkiller. Fuck that. I mean, great song, but I'm not interested in hearing it."
That'll be an interesting request in the brothel.
Yeah.
Look, I'm just after Judas Priest in the 80s.
Speaking of that, I just now realized this, and you'll be fascinated, or interested anyway. So if this comes out on Monday, the whatever date it is in December, on my channel, it will be Acid Rain Week on the Old Head channel because we are doing Cranked and Ranked Acid Rain.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, and this wasn't even my suggestion. It was Eddie's suggestion.
Do you know what? Well, do you know what we should do?
What?
Definitely make sure he doesn't hear this. Do you two Zoom?
Yeah.
You got to send me the link. You got to put me in a fucking waiting room. Don't tell him.
Oh, okay.
and I'll come crashing in.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. Just pick some random time and come in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. No, I will absolutely do that. He'll be chuffed, as they say, that happens.
Oh, that would be funny. That'd be so funny.
So it'll be interesting. So we've actually been talking about getting you on the show at some point, but I'm like, well, we have to come up with like something that he would be interested in ranking. Like, we would have a good time talking about.
Oh, I'm always up for anything, man. You know me. I'm the answer's always yes until it's no.
Well, then you'll be getting a link, and hopefully Eddie doesn't watch this, so it'll be a surprise.
Yeah, I know. But well,
actually, no. This is going to come out the day after we do it because we do them on Sundays. So
right, okay. If I'm around, I will come in.
Either way, I'll send you a link just in case.
Brilliant.
Okay, yeah, cool. He'll have no clue. So for those of you who are watching this, it may have happened. It may have not happened. Who knows?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Brilliant. Acid Rain Week. Well, look, I wish you told me before. We'll have to do some plugging on our socials and all the rest of it.
Okay.
And get people over there.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, well, look, knock up some visuals and I'll get it out there.
Okay, sweet.
Cool. Well,
I feel like we've reached the end here. It felt like
absolutely.
a nice wrap up.
Oh yeah, this is the closing, isn't it? It's like it's a given. It's like just that little bit of like plotting to freak Eddie out. It's like that seems like the right way to finish because we're not going to top that, are we?
No, probably not.
Well, look,
so that was 2022. Woo!
That was 2022, and I want to thank you, not you, the listener, although thank you, but I want to thank you, as in you, old head Steve Nyby, because I really enjoy doing this. And it's been you're always super easy to deal with. And you put up with my I can do it, no I can't, I can do it, no I can't bullshit. And yeah, it's clearly people who are listening like it. They're always and they're some of the most popular episodes I have. So thank you.
Thank you for doing this with me. It's an absolute pleasure. And you think you're difficult, but trust me, I've dealt with some difficult people. You're a walk in the park in comparison.
To be fair, I am a bit of a walk in the park. I do know that. I do know that. I have been told that. But that's because it's like if people need me to do something or want me to do something or be involved with something, my goal is for it to be after when they look back on it, go, A, that was great, and B, that was easy. Yeah. It's just your main goal in life is just be that person that makes other people's lives easier. And I spent 20 years of my life working in sales, believe it or not. And I always used to say that to staff and everyone, just be that person that's going to make somebody else's life easier.
Yeah.
And be that. And if you can do that, then world's your oyster, because you can turn your hand to anything. I can't, but turns out.
I guess that would be something I would like on my tombstone. Here lies old head. He was very easy to work with. That was.
Oh, I actually had what I was going to have written on my tombstone. I can't remember what it was. It was that is really annoying.
Here lies Howard H. Smith, and why not?
Yeah. I remember having somebody. I remember a comedian friend of mine said that he was going to have it inscribed in his grave, but he was going to have it done in a really small font, like 0.11 or something, like on a computer screen, and you have to get right up to the headstone to read it, and you have to get right up to it, and then you can make it out, and it just says "Get off my fucking grave."
That's great. Yeah, more people need to do that. We need more humor from the grave is what we need.
Yeah. Well, there we go. That's a really uplifting end to the show. Woo! Happy Christmas to everybody listening. If Christmas isn't your thing, it's neither old heads nor mine. It's like happy holidays. Exactly. Happy holidays, everybody.
We'll see you all again next year.
Yeah, we hope so. Take care. Au revoir.